I gave her everything, my savings, my home, my heart. She promised forever. All I got was a property scam and a broken soul. You don't expect to lose your dignity at 68. But love makes fools of men. This is what happened in Bangkok when I mistook manipulation for love. A few days ago, I received an email from someone who's been watching this channel for quite some time. He wrote, "Your story could have been mine, except I saw the red flags too late. I just wanted to believe she meant it." When I read that, I didn't know what to say at first. I just sat there with my coffee going cold, staring at his words, because I knew that exact feeling, that need to believe, that hunger for something real after years of feeling invisible. And when that illusion breaks, it doesn't just hurt, it humbles you. You question everything, your judgment, your worth, your future. His email reminded me why I keep telling these stories. Not to wallow in regret, but because sometimes the only thing more painful than being fooled is thinking you were the only one. If any part of this story sounds like something you've lived through or something you're afraid might happen, do me a favor, hit the like button, leave a comment, and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I read everyone, and if you've been coming back, episode after episode, I want to say this from the heart. Thank you. Seriously. Your support, your honesty in the comments, your quiet presence, it means more than you know. You've built something real here with me. So tonight, if you're sitting with your own version of this pain, just know you're not alone. Let me take you back to where it all started. I'm standing in front of this modest townhouse in the Thonglor district, holding an envelope stuffed with 850,000 baht in cash. My hands are shaking, but not from fear, from excitement. Ratchiny squeezes my arm and whispers, "This is ours now, Dennis. We did it." I can smell her jasmine perfume mixing with the humid Bangkok air. The keys feel warm in my palm. This is supposed to be the beginning of everything. "Are you happy?" she asks, her English soft but perfect, the way it always is when she wants something from me. I haven't felt this alive in years, I tell her, and I mean it. 6 months ago, I was eating frozen dinners in Grand Rapids, watching the snow pile up on Martha's grave. Now I'm buying a house with a beautiful woman who makes me believe 68 isn't too late for a second chance. The Thai seller hands me a thick folder of documents I can't read. Ratchiny translates something about water rights and electrical inspections. I nod like I understand. All I really understand is that she's here, holding my hand, calling this place ours. That's enough for me. It has to be. "Your wife would be proud," Ratchiny says quietly. "You're brave to start over." The words hit me right in the chest. Martha died 2 years ago, cancer that ate her up in 4 months. I retired early, sold our house, couldn't stand the memories anymore. Thailand was supposed to be temporary, a place to hide until the grief stopped choking me. But then I met Ratchiny at that expat real estate seminar, and suddenly I wasn't hiding anymore. I was building something new. She always said I was too stubborn to give up. I say, wiping my eyes before the tears can fall. Maybe she was right. Ratchiny laughs, that musical sound that first caught my attention 3 months ago. "Thai women, we know stubborn men. We like them." She touches my cheek. "This house, it's not just property. It's proof you still believe in love." I want to kiss her right there in front of the seller and the neighbors and the whole damn world. Instead, I squeeze her hand back and sign the final papers. The house is beautiful. 2 bedrooms, a small garden, close enough to the BTS that I can still get around without depending on her completely. It feels like home already. "I was so lost when I came here," I tell her as we walk through the empty rooms. "You saved me, Ratchiny. You really did." "We saved each other," she says, but she's looking at her phone when she says it, fingers typing something in Thai. Then she looks up and smiles, that smile that makes me forget I'm almost 70. "Come on, let's go celebrate. I know a place." The Buddhist temple she takes me to is small and tucked between apartment buildings. She lights incense and shows me how to make offerings to the monks. I don't understand the prayers, but I understand the feeling. Peace, hope. Like maybe the universe isn't done with me yet. In Thailand, we believe in second chances, she explains as we kneel together. Your heart was broken, but hearts can heal. This house, it's like a symbol. You're not the sad man from America anymore. You're Dennis who lives in Bangkok with someone who loves him. I kneel there on the temple floor, watching her pray, and I feel something I haven't felt since Martha was diagnosed. Gratitude, not just for surviving, but for actually living again. The monks chant in the background, and Ratchiny's hand finds mine in the dim light. I love you, I whisper, and I don't care if the monks hear me, or if it's appropriate, or if I sound like a desperate old fool. I know, she whispers back. That's why this is going to work. Walking back to the car, I can't stop looking at the house keys in my pocket. Our house keys. In 6 months, I went from a broken widower to a man building a future in Bangkok with a woman who actually wants to be with me. It feels like a miracle. It feels like I won some cosmic lottery I didn't even know I was playing. What are you thinking about? Ratchiny asks as we drive through the evening traffic. Just how different everything is now, how different I am. I reach over and touch her knee. You gave me my life back. She doesn't answer right away, just focuses on the road. Finally, she says, life is funny, Dennis. Just when you think it's over, it surprises you. I nod and watch Bangkok blur past the window. Neon signs in Thai script, street vendors cooking pad Thai, the endless flow of motorcycles weaving between cars. 6 months ago, this chaos terrified me. Now it feels like home. Now it feels like possibility. That night, we make love in our new house on a mattress we bought that afternoon. Afterward, she traces circles on my chest and tells me about her dreams. A little hotel business, maybe. Some rental properties. We could build something together, she says. Something real. We already are, I tell her, and I fall asleep believing every word. The first time I saw Ratchiny, she was standing at the front of a hotel conference room, explaining Bangkok's rental market to a dozen confused expats. I was one of them. 3 weeks in Thailand, staying in a serviced apartment that cost more per month than my pension, completely lost in a city where I couldn't read the street signs or figure out how to buy groceries without pointing like an idiot. For foreigners, property law is complicated, she said, her English careful but clear. But not impossible. You just need the right guidance. She was wearing a simple blue dress and no wedding ring. That's the first thing I noticed. Not her beauty, though she was beautiful in that effortless way Thai women seem to master. It was the kindness in her voice, the patience, like she actually cared whether we understood. After the presentation, I lingered. Most of the other expats were younger, here for business or teaching jobs. I felt old and out of place. But when Ratchiny approached me, she didn't make me feel that way. You have questions about housing? She asked. I have questions about everything, I admitted. I'm Dennis, by the way, from Michigan. I'm Ratchiny and Michigan. She smiled, thinking, very cold, yes? You must be happy to escape the winter. That's when I told her about Martha. I don't know why. Maybe because she had that way of listening that made you want to keep talking. I told her about the cancer, about selling the house, about coming to Thailand because I couldn't stand to be around all those memories anymore. I'm sorry for your loss, she said. And she meant it. You can tell when someone actually means it. But you're here now. That takes courage. Feels more like running away. Sometimes running away is how we find where we belong, she said. We talked for another hour. She recommended neighborhoods, explained the BTS system, even wrote down the names of grocery stores where the staff spoke English. When I asked if I could buy her coffee as a thank you, she hesitated. I don't usually, she started, then smiled. Okay, but somewhere with good coffee. I'm particular about coffee. The place she chose was tiny, tucked into an alley in Siloam. The owner knew her by name. We sat at a small table under a ceiling fan that barely moved the humid air, and I found myself telling her things I hadn't said out loud to anyone. Martha and we had 35 years together, I said, stirring my coffee even though I'd forgotten to add sugar. I thought I knew who I was. Husband, father, principal at Roosevelt Elementary. Then she died, and suddenly I didn't know anything anymore. You're still all those things, Ratchiny said. Death doesn't erase love. It just changes its shape. The way she said it, like she'd thought about this before, made me look at her differently. You sound like you speak from experience. My father died when I was 15. Cancer, like your wife. My mother, she was lost for a long time after. But then she started teaching at a temple school, found purpose again. Different purpose, but still purpose. Is that what you think I need? Purpose? I think you need to stop feeling guilty for being alive. The words hit me like a slap, but a gentle one. She was right. Every day since Martha's funeral, I'd been apologizing to the universe for still breathing, still wanting things, still hoping for something. How do you do that? I asked. Stop feeling guilty? You start small. You find one thing each day that makes you glad you're here. Maybe it's good coffee. Maybe it's helping someone. Maybe it's just watching the sunset from a different place. We met again 3 days later. Then again the following week. She showed me how to navigate the MRT, taught me basic Thai phrases for ordering food, took me to weekend markets where she negotiated prices I never could have gotten on my own. I wasn't paying her for any of this. She just seemed to enjoy helping. One evening, we were walking along the Chao Phraya River, watching the long-tail boats cut through the brown water. The sun was setting, painting everything gold, and I felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. Contentment. This is nice, I said. Just being here. With you. You're surprised? I didn't think I'd ever feel normal around another woman. After Martha. Ratchiny stopped walking and turned to face me. Dennis, can I tell you something? Your wife, she's not watching you from heaven getting angry because you're talking to another woman. Love doesn't work that way. She wanted you to be happy. That's what love is. I wanted to cry right there on the riverbank. Instead, I took her hand. It was small and warm, and she didn't pull away. I don't know how to do this, I admitted. I don't know how to start over at 68. You don't start over, she said. You just start again. There's a difference. That night, she took me to Ayutthaya, an hour north of Bangkok. The ancient ruins looked like something from a dream in the moonlight. We sat on a blanket she'd brought, eating somtam and drinking Chang beer, surrounded by 600-year-old temples. Why did you bring me here? I asked. Because this place has seen everything. War, peace, love, loss, kings and beggars, and it's still beautiful, still standing. She looked at me in the lantern light. Like you. That's when she said it. The words that changed everything. I think your heart still works, Dennis. It's hurt, but it works. I kissed her then, clumsy and hesitant at first like a teenager, but she kissed me back, and suddenly I wasn't 68 anymore. I wasn't a widower or a retiree or a lost American stumbling through Bangkok. I was just a man who'd found someone who made him remember what it felt like to be alive. Is this crazy? I whispered against her lips. Probably, she whispered back. But maybe crazy is what you need. Driving back to Bangkok that night, her hand on my knee, I felt something shift inside me. The guilt was still there, but quieter now. Underneath it was something else, something that felt like hope. Ratchiny? Thank you. For seeing something in me that I couldn't see myself. She squeezed my knee. You're welcome. But Dennis? I didn't put anything there. I just helped you remember it was there all along. I believed her. God help me, I believed every single word. We need to talk about the future, Ratchiny says over breakfast, 2 months after Ayutthaya. We're sitting in a little cafe near her apartment, and she's got that serious expression she gets when she's thinking about business. You can't live in that serviced apartment forever. It's too expensive. She's right. The monthly rent is eating through my savings faster than I'd planned. But every time I think about finding something permanent, I get overwhelmed by the bureaucracy, the language barrier, the legal complications of being a foreigner in Thailand. I've been looking at rental properties, I tell her, but everything good requires a year lease and the deposits. What if we looked at buying instead? The question catches me off guard. Buying? Can I even do that? It's complicated, she admits, stirring her coffee. Foreigners can't own land in Thailand, but there are ways. Legal ways. The way she says legal ways makes me nervous, but I'm curious. What kind of ways? Well, you could buy a condo. Foreigners can own up to 49% of a building, but the good condos are expensive and you said you want a house, right? Garden space? Privacy? That would be nice, I admit. But if I can't own land, there's another option. She leans forward, lowering her voice like she's sharing a secret. Many foreigners do this. You can't own the land, but a Thai national can. Someone you trust. They hold the title, but it's understood that it's really yours. The coffee suddenly tastes bitter in my mouth. You mean like a shell company? No, nothing complicated like that. More like partnership. The title is in their name, but there's an agreement. A contract that protects your investment. I set down my cup. Ratchiny, are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just explaining how it works. But she's looking at me with those dark eyes, and I can see she's already thought this through. But yes, if we're talking about building a life together, this is how it would have to work. The word together hangs in the air between us. We've been dancing around it for weeks. The relationship that started as friendship became companionship, then something deeper. But neither of us has said the word together out loud before. You'd do that? I ask. Put a house in your name for me? Dennis, we're past the point of pretending this is casual, aren't we? You've met my sister. I've talked to your daughter on Skype. We're not just dating. She's right. Last week, she drove me to visit her family in Nakhon Pathom. Her mother served me more food than I could eat in a week and kept saying things in Thai that made Ratchiny blush. And when Sarah called from Denver last Sunday, I found myself saying we when I talked about my plans. We're thinking about taking a trip to Chiang Mai. We found this great restaurant near the river. But putting a house in your name, I say carefully, that's a big step, a big risk. For both of us, she points out. What if you decide you don't like Thailand? What if you want to go back to America? I'd be stuck with a house I can't afford. Is that what you're worried about? That I'll leave? She reaches across the table and takes my hand. I'm worried we're both too scared to admit what we want. What do we want? To stop pretending this is temporary. That afternoon, she takes me to look at houses. The first two are too expensive, too big. But the third one, the townhouse in Thongler, feels right immediately. 2 bedrooms, small garden, quiet street but close to the BTS. I can picture myself living there. I can picture us living there. What do you think? Ratchiny asks, as we walk through the empty rooms. I think it feels like home. The price is good too. 2.8 million baht. With your savings from selling the house in Michigan, I could afford it, I finish. If you're willing to do this. We're standing in what would be our bedroom, afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows. She turns to face me, and I can see she's as nervous as I am. Dennis, I need you to understand something. If we do this, there's no going back. Not for me. I don't play games with property or with love. I'm not playing games either. I know, but I need to hear you say it. What this means to you. I take a deep breath. It means I trust you. It means I want to build something real with you. It means I'm ready to stop being afraid. Even though the house would be in my name legally, even though she closes her eyes for a moment, like she's making a decision. When she opens them, she's smiling. Okay, let's do it. The process is more complicated than I expected. We meet with a lawyer, her cousin, actually, who speaks decent English and explains the whole thing over dinner at her family's restaurant. The house will be in Ratchiny's name, but there'll be a contract stating that I provided the funds and have the right to live there. It's not perfect protection, but it's something. Many Farang do this, the cousin assures me. Very common, very safe, especially with family. I sign a stack of papers, most in Thai with English translations attached. Banking documents, property transfer forms, loan agreements. Ratchiny walks me through each one, explaining what I'm signing. But honestly, after the third or fourth document, I stop reading carefully. I trust her. That's what this is about. The day we close on the house, I withdraw 850,000 baht from my Bangkok bank account, most of my savings from selling the house in Grand Rapids. My hands shake as I count out the cash. This is it. This is me betting everything on love at 68 years old. Are you having second thoughts? Ratchiny asks as we sit in the lawyer's office. No, I say, and I mean it. This is the most money I've ever spent on anything except my first house with Martha. This is different though. How? Because you're not the same person you were then. You're braver now, more willing to take risks for happiness. The lawyer stamps the final documents with an official seal. Ratchiny signs her name with a flourish, and just like that we own a house. Well, she owns a house, but it's ours, our home. That night we celebrate with champagne on the empty floor of our new living room. No furniture yet, no decorations, just us and a bottle of Dom Perignon that costs more than I usually spend on food in a month. To second chances, Ratchiny says, raising her glass. To trusting the right person, I reply. We drink and laugh and make plans. We'll get a king-size bed for the master bedroom. She wants to plant jasmine in the garden. I want a desk by the window where I can write letters to my kids. It all feels possible. It all feels real. I love you. I tell her as we lie on the air mattress we bought for our first night. I love you too, she whispers back. And I promise you, Dennis, I'll never hurt you. This house, it's not just mine. It's ours. Always. I fall asleep holding her hand, listening to the sounds of Bangkok outside our window. Our window. In our house. I haven't felt this secure since Martha was alive. Maybe more secure, because this time I chose it. This time I was brave enough to bet on love. I should have paid more attention to the paperwork. The first lie is small. So small, I almost don't notice it. Where were you last night? I ask over breakfast. It's been 3 weeks since we moved into the house, and she didn't come home until almost midnight. Late showing, she says, not looking up from her phone. Rich client from Hong Kong. You know how these international buyers are. They want to see everything twice. I nod and pour myself more coffee. It makes sense. Her real estate business has been picking up lately. More foreign clients, bigger commissions. She's been working longer hours, taking calls at odd times, sometimes switching to Mandarin or Cantonese in conversations I can't follow. But something feels different. The way she keeps her phone face down on the table now. The way she steps out to take certain calls. The way she smiles at text messages but doesn't share what's funny anymore. Everything okay? I ask. Of course. Why? You seem distracted lately. She finally looks up, and her smile is warm and familiar. Sorry, baby. It's just business. You know I get focused when I'm working on big deals. What kind of deals? Property development. Very boring, very complicated. She reaches across and squeezes my hand. But profitable. Good for our future. Our future. The word should make me happy, but there's something in her tone that doesn't quite match the sentiment. Like she's saying it because she knows I want to hear it, not because she feels it. Maybe I could help somehow, I offer. I mean, I know I don't speak Thai, but I was a principal for 30 years. I understand business management, budgets. That's sweet, she says, but she's already standing up, checking her phone again. But this is very specific to Thai law. Very technical. You'd be bored. She kisses my forehead and grabs her purse. I'll probably be late again tonight. Don't wait up. I spend the day unpacking boxes, trying to make the house feel more like home. I hang pictures of Martha and me from our anniversary trips, then take them down, then put them back up. I'm not sure what the protocol is for displaying photos of your dead wife in a house you share with your new girlfriend. Ratchiny has never said anything about them, but I catch her looking sometimes. Around noon, I decide to surprise her with lunch. She mentioned a new office space she's been working out of, somewhere in the Asoke area. I don't have the exact address, but how hard can it be to find? I'll call her when I get close. But when I call, her phone goes straight to voicemail. I try again an hour later. Same thing. By evening, I'm starting to worry. She comes home at 11:30, looking tired but pleased with herself. Good day, I ask. Very good. Closed a big deal. She kicks off her heels and sprawls on the couch next to me. What did you do? The house looks nice. I tried to bring you lunch, but I couldn't reach you. Oh, you should have told me you were coming. I was in meetings all day. You know how it is. Phones off during negotiations. Where's your new office? I couldn't remember the address. It's temporary, she says quickly. Just a shared workspace. Very messy, very busy. Not worth visiting. She cuddles up against me, and I can smell unfamiliar cologne on her shirt. Not her usual jasmine perfume. Something masculine and expensive. Whose cologne is that? What? She pulls away to look at me. You smell like men's cologne. She laughs, but it sounds forced. Oh, that. My client today. Very heavy cologne. You know how some men are, they think more is better. It's a reasonable explanation. But the lie sits between us like a third person on the couch. The second lie comes a week later. I'm doing laundry and find a second phone in her purse. Not her usual iPhone, but a cheaper Android with a cracked screen. The lock screen shows a photo of a young Thai man I don't recognize. He's handsome in that way that makes you feel old just looking at him. Ratchiny, I call out. She's in the shower. What, baby? You have two phones? There's a pause. Then, oh, that old thing? It's my work phone. For Thai clients only. Some of them don't like calling international numbers. She appears in the doorway, towel wrapped around her, water still dripping from her hair. Why were you going through my purse? I wasn't going through it. I was getting your jacket for laundry, and the phone fell out. Okay, she says, but there's something sharp in her voice. Just be careful with it. It has important client information. Who's the guy in the photo? What guy? The lock screen. Young Thai guy. Oh, she takes the phone from me and glances at it. That's my nephew. He set up the phone for me. I don't know how to change the picture. Another reasonable explanation. Another lie that I almost believe because I want to. The third lie is bigger. I find business cards in her desk drawer, high-end hotels, luxury car dealerships, jewelry stores, all with handwritten notes in Thai script. When I ask about them, she says they're for client referrals. Rich foreigners, they want to know the best places, she explains. I help them with lifestyle, not just property. That's smart, I say, like a concierge service. Exactly. But that night, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about the cologne, the second phone, the business cards, the way she's been distant during sex lately, like her mind is somewhere else. The way she flinches when I touch her unexpectedly. I get up to get water and find her on the couch, typing on the work phone. The light from the screen illuminates her face, and she looks different, younger, happier. The way she used to look at me. Can't sleep? I ask. She startles and quickly closes the phone. Just checking messages. Work emergency. At 2 a.m.? International clients, she says. Different time zones. I sit beside her on the couch. Ratchiny, is everything okay between us? Of course, why would you ask that? You seem distant lately, like you're keeping things from me. She turns to face me, and in the dim light from the street lamp outside, she looks like the woman I fell in love with 6 months ago. Dennis, I'm just busy. Building a business is hard work, but it's for us, for our future. I know, I miss you. Even when you're here, I miss you. She kisses me then, soft and sweet. I'm sorry, you're right. I've been distracted, but it's temporary. Once these deals close, things will be calmer. Promise? Promise. She takes my hand and leads me back to bed. We make love, but even as she moves above me in the darkness, I can feel the distance, like she's performing intimacy instead of feeling it. Afterward, she falls asleep with her back to me. I lie awake listening to her breathe, trying to convince myself that I'm imagining things, that love is always complicated, that trust requires faith, not evidence. But the lies are adding up, small ones, maybe, innocent ones, but lies nonetheless. And for the first time since I signed those papers, I wonder if I made a mistake, if I trusted the wrong person, if 68 is too old to recover from that kind of mistake. Outside our bedroom window, in our house that's legally in her name, Bangkok hums with late-night energy. Motorcycles and street vendors and people living lives I can't understand in a language I can't speak. I close my eyes and try to remember what certainty felt like. I wake up to silence. Not the usual sounds of Ratchiny making coffee in the kitchen or talking quietly on the phone with early clients. Just silence. Ratchiny, I call out, but there's no answer. The bathroom is empty. Her side of the closet is empty. Not just empty, cleared out. Her dresses, her shoes, her jewelry box, all gone, like she was never here at all. I check the kitchen. Her coffee mug, the one with the elephant design she bought at the weekend market, is gone too. So is her laptop, her chargers, her stack of business cards. The refrigerator is still full of food, but somehow the house feels hollow without her things in it. Maybe she had an emergency. Maybe she got a call about her mother, or had to travel suddenly for work. I grab my phone and dial her number. The number you have dialed is not in service. I try again, thinking I misdialed. Same message. I try the work phone number I found in her desk. Also disconnected. That's when I notice my wallet is missing from the nightstand, and my ATM card, and the spare key to the house. My chest starts to tighten. This isn't an emergency. This is something else entirely. I spend the morning calling everyone I can think of. Her sister in Nakhon Pathom claims she doesn't speak English and hangs up on me. The cousin who handled the legal paperwork isn't answering his phone. The real estate office where I first met her says they've never heard of anyone named Ratchiny. But she gave presentations there. I insist to the receptionist, 6 months ago, about property law for expats. Sir, we don't do presentations. We just handle rentals. By noon, I'm starting to panic. I can't get money from the ATM because my card is gone. I can't call my bank in Michigan because it's the middle of the night there. And I can't shake the feeling that I'm missing something obvious, something important. That's when I hear voices outside. Men speaking Thai, loud and confident. Then someone tries to open the front door. I look through the peephole and see 2 Thai men in business suits and a uniformed security guard. One of them is holding keys. I open the door. Can I help you? You are Dennis Campbell? The older man asks in careful English. Yes. I am Mr. Somchai from Bangkok Property Management. You need to leave this house now. Excuse me? This house. It is not yours. You are trespassing. My knees almost give out. That's impossible. I bought this house. I have papers. You have papers, yes. But house is not in your name. House belongs to Miss Ploy Sirikul. She sold to us yesterday. Miss who? I don't know any Miss Ploy. The house is in Ratchiny's name. Ratchiny Wong Sawat. The men exchange glances. Sir, there is no Ratchiny Wong Sawat in our records. Title shows Ploy Sirikul as owner. She sell property to us for development. You must leave today. That's impossible. I repeat. But even as I say it, I'm remembering the stack of papers I signed, most of them in Thai, most of them barely translated. Let me see the documents. Mr. Somchai shows me a deed with official stamps and signatures. The name on it is definitely not Ratchiny Wongsawat. It's Ploy Sirakul, signed in the same handwriting I watched sign our purchase agreement 3 months ago. She used a fake name, I whisper. Sir, nothing, just how long do I have? We are generous. You can stay tonight. Tomorrow morning you go. They leave me standing in the doorway of a house that was never mine, holding papers that were never worth anything, trying to figure out how I became this stupid. I spend the rest of the day going through every document Ratchiny, Ploy, whatever her name was, left behind, which isn't much, but what I find makes my stomach turn. There's a notebook hidden in her desk drawer with names and numbers written in English. Western names. John from Australia, 62. Michael from Germany, 58. Robert from Canada, 65. Each entry has a dollar amount next to it. John, 45K. Michael, 67K. Robert, 82K. My name is at the bottom. Dennis from USA, 6895K. I am not her boyfriend. I am not her partner. I am not the love of her life. I am client number 4. The phone call to my daughter Sarah is the hardest conversation I've ever had. Dad, slow down. What do you mean she's gone? I mean gone, Sarah. Vanished. With my money, my ATM card, everything. Oh my God. Dad, are you okay? Are you safe? I'm fine, physically. But the house, I have to leave tomorrow, and my bank account. How much did she take? I close my eyes. Everything. The house payment, my savings, everything I got from selling the house in Grand Rapids, about $95. The silence on the other end of the line stretches so long I think the call dropped. Sarah? I'm here, Dad. I'm just, Jesus, Dad. How did this happen? I trusted her. I thought she loved me. Did you go to the police? What would I tell them? That I gave my girlfriend money to buy a house and she disappeared? That I signed papers I couldn't read? They'd laugh me out of the station. Dad, this is fraud. This is theft. This is stupidity, I correct her. This is a 68-year-old man being an idiot because he was lonely and wanted to believe someone could love him again. Sarah starts crying. I can hear it through the phone, and it breaks whatever was left of my heart. Dad, come home. I'll buy you a ticket. You can stay with us until you figure things out. I can't afford a ticket home, and I can't afford to stay here either. Then let me help. Sarah, you've got your own family to worry about. College tuition for Emma, the mortgage. You're my father. We'll figure it out. But I know what this means. My daughter will drain her savings to rescue her stupid father who fell for the oldest scam in the book. She'll smile and say it's fine, but I'll see the strain in her marriage, the stress in her face, the sacrifice she's making because her father was too desperate for love to use his brain. I'll think about it, I tell her. Let me see what options I have here first. Dad, promise me you won't do anything drastic. I'm not going to hurt myself, if that's what you mean. Promise me. I promise. After I hang up, I sit in the empty living room of a house that was never mine and try to make sense of it all. The signs were all there, the evasiveness about her work, the second phone, the way she kept me away from her business dealings, the way she never actually said she loved me until after I'd signed the papers. But I didn't want to see the signs. I wanted to believe that at 68, after losing Martha, after feeling like my life was over, I could still be someone worth loving. I wanted to believe in second chances and happy endings and all the bullshit that movies sell you about late-in-life romance. Instead, I fell for a con artist, a professional who saw a lonely old man with a bank account and a need to be needed, who studied me like a textbook and played every emotional note perfectly. The worst part isn't the money. The worst part is that some of it was real. Those evenings in Ayutthaya, the way she held my hand during temple visits, the gentle way she talked about Martha, Some of that had to be real, didn't it? Or maybe that's just what I need to tell myself to survive this. That night, I packed my few remaining belongings into 2 suitcases. Everything I have left in the world fits into 2 suitcases. Tomorrow, I'll move into the cheapest guest house I can find and start figuring out how to rebuild a life at 68 with no money, no home, and no idea who to trust anymore. But first, I write a letter I'll never send. Dear Ratchiny or Ploy or whatever your name really is, I hope it was worth it. I hope $95,000 was worth destroying whatever was left of an old man's faith in love. I hope you spend it well. I hope it buys you something better than what we had, because what we had felt pretty damn good to me. Maybe that was your gift as a con artist, making the mark feel loved even while you were robbing him blind. If so, you're very good at your job. I almost don't regret falling for it. Almost. I tear up the letter before I can finish it. Some things are better left unsaid. Outside, Bangkok continues its endless dance of lights and noise and life. Somewhere in this city, she's probably with another lonely foreigner, listening to his stories about his dead wife, smiling that patient smile, making him feel young again. I wonder if she'll remember my name a year from now. I wonder if any of it mattered to her at all. I wonder how I'm going to live with being this wrong about someone. 3 days later, I'm living in a backpacker hostel in Khao San Road that smells like stale beer and broken dreams. My bed is a thin mattress in a room I share with 2 German college kids who party until 3 a.m. every night. I'm 68 years old, and I'm living like I'm 20, except at 20 I had hope and a future. Now I just have questions that eat at me every time I close my eyes. The biggest question, was any of it real? I can't let it go. I know I should. I know I should take Sarah's money, fly back to Michigan, and spend whatever years I have left trying to forget Bangkok ever happened. But I can't stop replaying every conversation, every kiss, every moment when she looked at me like I mattered. That's how I end up standing outside the luxury condo building in Sukhumvit at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. She showed me this place once, 6 weeks ago, when she was helping a client evaluate properties. Said she knew the security guard could get us a private tour. I didn't think much of it then. Now I wonder if she was already planning her exit strategy. I buy coffee from a street vendor and position myself across the street where I can see the lobby entrance. I don't know what I'm hoping for. Maybe just to see her face one more time. Maybe to understand how someone can fake love that convincingly. I wait for 3 hours. My back is killing me from standing, and the coffee has made me jittery, but I can't leave. This is the only lead I have, the only place I might find answers. Then, I see her. She walks out of the elevator wearing a white sundress I've never seen before, her hair shorter now, styled differently. She looks younger somehow, happier. She's holding hands with a man I recognize immediately, tall, silver-haired, maybe in his early 60s. European accent when I heard him speak that day we toured the building. My heart stops, then starts beating so fast I think I might collapse right there on the sidewalk. She's not in hiding, she's not running from what she did to me, she's just continuing, living her life, working her next mark, moving forward like I never existed. They stop at the building's entrance, and she says something that makes him laugh. The same musical laugh that used to make me feel like the funniest man in Bangkok. Then she kisses him, soft and sweet, the way she used to kiss me. I cross the street without thinking. Ratchiny. She turns, and for just a second, I see something flicker across her face. Surprise? Guilt? Fear? Then it's gone, replaced by that patient smile I know so well. Dennis, what are you doing here? The European man looks confused. You know this gentleman? An old friend, she says quickly. Dennis, this is Klaus. Klaus, Dennis. Klaus extends his hand like we're meeting at a cocktail party. I don't take it. We need to talk, I tell her. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just 5 minutes. She looks at Klaus, then back at me. Klaus, give me a moment. I'll meet you upstairs. He hesitates, clearly sensing the tension, but kisses her forehead and disappears into the lobby. The casual intimacy of it, the same casual intimacy she used to share with me, makes my chest tight. You look good, she says when we're alone. I look like hell, and you know it. I heard about the house. I'm sorry. You heard about it. You orchestrated it. She sighs, and for a moment she looks tired, older. Dennis, this is why I didn't want to talk. You're going to make this more dramatic than it needs to be. Dramatic? You stole my life savings and disappeared in the middle of the night. How dramatic should I make it? I didn't steal anything. You gave me money to buy a house. I bought a house. Then I sold it. That's business. That's fraud. That's Thailand. Foreign property law is complicated. I tried to explain that to you. I stare at her, looking for some sign of the woman who held me while I cried about Martha, who made me believe I could love again. Was any of it real? I ask. Even one moment? She looks away, toward the traffic flowing past on Sukhumvit Road. Does it matter? It matters to me. Why? What would change if I said yes? I don't know. Maybe nothing. But I need to know if I'm completely insane or if there was something real between us. She's quiet for a long moment. When she finally looks back at me, her eyes are softer than they've been since I called her name. You were kind, she says finally. That was real. You listened to me talk about my father, about growing up poor in Aizen province. You never made me feel like I was just entertainment for a lonely Farang. That was nice. But you didn't love me. I cared about you. That's not the same thing. No, she admits. It's not. The honesty hits harder than I expected. I thought I wanted the truth, but hearing it spoken out loud makes me feel empty in a way that even losing the money didn't. Why me? I ask. What made me such an easy target? You weren't a target, Dennis. You were just available and sad, and you had money. That's it? That's all it took? You wanted to believe someone could love you again. That made everything else easy. She reaches out like she's going to touch my arm, then pulls her hand back. I'm not a bad person. I do what I have to do to survive. You've never been poor, really poor. You don't understand what that does to someone. So this is survival? Lying to lonely old men? It's business, and it's not forever. Klaus is different. He might be the one I can stop with. The words are like a knife in my chest. The one you can stop with, because he's richer than me, because he's not looking for love. He's looking for a beautiful companion who won't ask too many questions. That's honest, at least. More honest than what we had. Yes. We stand there in the morning heat, two people who shared a bed for 3 months, who made love and planned a future and talked about growing old together. Now we're strangers again. Maybe we always were. I loved you, I tell her. Whatever you think about the rest of it, that was real. I loved you completely. I know, she says quietly. I'm sorry. Are you? Really? She meets my eyes one last time. I'm sorry you got hurt. I'm sorry you believed something that wasn't true. I'm sorry you're alone again. But you're not sorry you did it. She shakes her head. No, I'm not sorry I did it. The elevator opens, and Klaus appears in the lobby, looking concerned. She sees him and her whole posture changes, straightens, brightens, becomes the woman he thinks he knows. I have to go, she says. Ratchiny. My name is Ploy. I know. I saw the real estate documents. Then you know everything you need to know. She starts to walk away, then stops. Dennis, for what it's worth, you were the kindest one. That should count for something. She disappears into the lobby, leaving me standing alone on a busy Bangkok street corner, holding the pieces of what I thought was love. I watch through the glass as she takes Klaus's arm, as he kisses her cheek as they walk toward the elevator together. She doesn't look back. That should count for something, she said. The kindest one. But kindness doesn't pay the rent. Kindness doesn't protect you from being played for a fool. Kindness doesn't give you back your life savings or your dignity or your faith in your own judgment. Kindness is just what marks you as an easy target. I walk back to the hostel slowly, taking the long way through side streets and markets. Bangkok flows around me like it always has, indifferent, eternal, full of people playing angles I'll never understand. By the time I reach Khao San Road, I know what I have to do. I have to stop looking for answers that will make this hurt less. I have to stop hoping for closure that will never come. I have to figure out how to live with being wrong about love. Again, the guest house room is barely big enough for a single bed and a plastic chair. The walls are thin enough that I can hear every conversation, every argument, every intimate moment from the surrounding rooms. It's the kind of place you end up when you've run out of options and dignity. I've been here 2 weeks now. 2 weeks of lying on a mattress that smells like disinfectant and regret, staring at water stains on the ceiling, trying to figure out how I became this person. How Dennis Campbell, who spent 30 years teaching kids right from wrong, who raised 2 children and buried a wife, and thought he understood something about life, ended up broke and alone in Bangkok because he couldn't tell the difference between love and a con game. The shame is worse than the financial loss, worse than losing the house, worse than having to ask Sarah for money, worse than facing the reality that I might never be able to afford going home. The shame sits in my chest like a tumor, growing bigger every day. I keep replaying our last conversation. "You were the kindest one," she said, like I should be grateful to be the kindest mark in her collection. I write emails to my children that I never send. "Dear Sarah, I need you to know that your father isn't just broke, he's stupid. I fell for the oldest trick in the book because I was so desperate to feel love that I ignored every red flag, every warning sign, every instinct that told me something was wrong. Delete. Dear Michael, remember when you were 16 and got scammed buying a used car? Remember how angry I was that you didn't do your research, didn't ask the right questions? Well, your old man just did something 1,000 times dumber. Delete. Dear kids, I'm writing this from a room that costs $8 a night because your father gave away your inheritance to a woman who was probably laughing at me behind my back for months. Delete. The truth is, I can't write to them because I can't face what I've become. Their father, the principal who used to lecture them about making smart choices and thinking with their heads instead of their hearts. Their father, who they trusted to be wise, to be careful with the money that was supposed to be their security someday. I failed them. I failed Martha's memory. I failed myself. But mostly, I let it happen. That's the part that keeps me awake at night. I wasn't completely blind. There were moments when doubt crept in. The second phone, the evasive answers about her work, the way she kept me separate from her real life, the cologne on her shirt, the business cards for luxury services. I saw the signs. I just chose to ignore them because the alternative, being alone at 68 with nothing but memories of a dead wife, felt worse than being fooled. I chose the lie because the truth was too hard to face. 3 days ago, I walked past an internet cafe and saw my reflection in the window. I looked like a ghost. 20 pounds thinner, gray stubble, clothes that hang loose because I can barely afford to eat 1 meal a day. But it wasn't the physical deterioration that stopped me cold. It was the expression on my face. Defeated, broken, lost. I looked like the kind of old man people cross the street to avoid. The kind who talks to himself and smells like desperation. That night, I did something I haven't done since Martha died. I prayed. Not the formal prayers from childhood, but the desperate kind. The bargaining with God kind. Please, I whispered into the dark room. Please just help me understand how I got this wrong. Help me figure out how to live with this. No divine revelation came. Just the sound of traffic and the couple next door having another fight about money. But something shifted. A tiny crack in the wall of self-pity I'd built around myself. I started thinking about the kids I used to counsel at school. 8th graders who'd made terrible choices, who'd broken trust, who'd disappointed everyone, including themselves. What did I used to tell them? Mistakes don't define you unless you let them. What defines you is what you do next. Easy to say when you're the adult giving advice, harder when you're the one who needs to hear it. Yesterday, I forced myself to leave the guest house and walk through Bangkok. Really walk, not just shuffle to the 7-Eleven for instant noodles. I walked through Lumpini Park and watched old Thai men playing chess. I walked through the weekend market and listened to vendors calling out prices in 3 languages. I walked along the river and watched long-tail boats carry tourists who still believed Bangkok was beautiful. And slowly, something started to come back. Not hope exactly, but curiosity. About how this city works, about the people who live here, about what comes next for the broken American who used to be somebody. At a temple near the hostel, I sat with Buddhist monks during evening prayers. I didn't understand the words, but I understood the feeling. Acceptance, letting go. The idea that suffering comes from attachment to things that were never really ours in the first place. I wasn't attached to the money, really. I was attached to the story I'd told myself about what the money meant, that it made me worthy of love, that it could buy me a second chance at happiness, that a 34-year-old woman could genuinely want to build a future with a 68-year-old man because of who he was, not what he owned. The money was never the point. The story was the point. And maybe it's time to write a different story. This morning, I showered and shaved for the first time in a week. I put on the cleanest clothes I have left. I walked to a language school I'd noticed near the river, the kind that teaches English to Thai students and Thai to foreigners. Do you need teachers? I asked the young woman at the front desk. What kind of teaching experience do you have? 30 years as a school principal in Michigan? High school English literature before that? She looked at me, really looked, like she was trying to see past the cheap clothes and desperate circumstances to whatever was underneath. Can you start Monday? It doesn't pay much, maybe enough for a room in a boarding house and 2 meals a day, but it's something. It's a reason to get up in the morning that doesn't involve feeling sorry for myself. That evening, I finally wrote an email I actually sent. Dear Sarah, I know you're worried about me, and I know you want me to come home, but I'm not ready yet. I need to prove to myself that I can survive this, that I can build something from nothing. At 68, I lost more than money in Bangkok. I lost my confidence, my judgment, maybe even my self-respect. I need to earn those back before I can face you and Michael and the grandkids. I need to become someone I can live with again. Give me 6 months. If I can't figure it out by then, I'll take you up on that plane ticket. But let me try. Please. Your foolish, but still fighting father. She wrote back within an hour. Dad, I love you. We all love you. Nothing you did changes that. But if you need time to heal, take it. Just promise me you'll stay safe. And remember, you're not starting over. You're just starting again. There's a difference. Those words. The same words Ratchiny, Ploy, said to me that night by the river when I was afraid to love again. You don't start over. You just start again. Even her lies contained some truth. Maybe that's enough to build on. 6 months later, I'm standing in front of a classroom full of Thai university students trying to explain why Americans say awesome about everything from pizza to sunsets. It's my 3rd class of the day at the Bangkok Language Institute, and my feet hurt from standing, but I'm smiling. Actually smiling, not the fake smile I wore for months after Ploy disappeared. Teacher Dennis, says Nim, a 20-year-old business major who reminds me of my granddaughter Emma, why do Americans say how are you, but don't want real answer? It's a good question. The kind that makes me think about my own culture from the outside, the way I've been forced to think about everything since I ended up broke in this city. It's like saying hello, I explain. It's not really a question about your health or feelings. It's just a polite greeting. But that's lying, says another student. Not lying exactly, more like social performance. We all agree to perform politeness instead of being honest about how we feel. The irony isn't lost on me. I've become an expert on performance versus reality. After class, I walk back to my boarding house through the evening heat. It's not much. A single room with a fan, a hot plate, and a bathroom I share with 3 other tenants. But it's mine. I pay for it with money I earn teaching English and basic computer skills to whoever needs them. No one gave it to me. No one can take it away by disappearing in the night. The boarding house is run by Mrs. Somporn, a 60-year-old widow who speaks broken English and treats her tenants like wayward children. She was suspicious of me at first, another Farang who probably couldn't pay rent, but over the months, something like friendship has developed. "Teacher Dennis," she calls as I climb the stairs. "You have good day?" "Good day, Mama Som. You?" She grins. She likes it when I call her Mama Som. "Very good. My nephew, he pass English test for university. He say thank you for help with studying. This is what my life has become. Small victories, modest connections, students who remember what I taught them, neighbors who nod when they see me on the street. It's not the grand love story I thought I was living with Ploy, but it's real. It's mine." In my room, I open my laptop, a used ThinkPad I bought with my first month's teaching salary, and check email. There's one from Sarah with photos of Emma's high school graduation. My granddaughter in her cap and gown, heading to college in the fall, life continuing back home, with or without me. There's also an email from Michael, my son. We've been corresponding more since I started teaching. He's a software engineer in Seattle, and I've been asking him questions about computers, about online teaching platforms, about maybe starting a small tutoring business. "Dad," his latest email reads, "I've been thinking about what you said about staying in Bangkok. I know you feel like you need to prove something to yourself, but you don't need to prove anything to us. We're proud of you for surviving this, for finding work, for not giving up. If you want to come home, there's no shame in that. But if you want to stay, we support that too. Just know that you're loved either way." I've been thinking about that choice a lot lately. Home versus here, the safe path versus the uncertain one. Last week, I had coffee with James, a British expat who's been in Bangkok for 15 years. He teaches at an international school and seems to have figured out how to build a real life here. The trick, he told me, is not trying to recreate what you had before. Bangkok isn't England, and being an expat at 60 isn't the same as being married in your home country. You have to become a different version of yourself. What if I don't like the different version? Then you change again. That's the beauty of starting over at our age. You've got nothing left to lose, so you might as well try things. He's right about having nothing left to lose. The house in Michigan is gone. My savings are gone. My identity as a successful American retiree is gone. Even my marriage to Martha, in some ways, is gone. Not the love or the memories, but the defining weight of being a widower, of organizing my whole life around grief. What I have instead is smaller but somehow more solid, a job that uses skills I've spent decades developing, students who actually listen when I talk, a routine that doesn't depend on anyone else's presence or approval, and strangely, I have something I didn't expect, perspective on love, not the romantic kind. I'm not sure I'll ever trust myself with that again, but the everyday kind. The kind that shows up in small gestures and gradual understanding. Like Mama Som bringing me soup when I had food poisoning last month, even though I couldn't pay her extra for it. Or my student Preacha staying after class to help me fix my motorcycle when it broke down. Or the monks at the local temple who wave when they see me walking past, even though we don't share a language. This isn't the dramatic, overwhelming love I thought I'd found with Ploy. But it's sustainable. It doesn't require me to ignore red flags or sign papers I can't read or pretend to be someone I'm not. 3 weeks ago, I saw her, Ploy. I was teaching an evening class at a hotel conference room, helping a group of business executives improve their presentation skills when she walked past the window with another foreign man. Older than me this time, well-dressed. the kind who travels first class and stays in five-star hotels. For a moment, our eyes met through the glass, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not hurt, not even curiosity about her latest mark. Just recognition, like seeing someone you used to know in a different life. She looked away first. Later, walking back to the boarding house, I realized something had shifted. The story I'd been telling myself about Bangkok, about how this city broke me, how I came here looking for love and found only betrayal, wasn't complete. Bangkok didn't break me. Bangkok revealed who I really am when everything else is stripped away. And apparently, I'm someone who can teach teenagers about American idioms, who can fix motorcycle engines with YouTube tutorials, who can learn enough Thai to order food without pointing at pictures. I'm someone who can survive being wrong about love and still find reasons to get up in the morning. That's not nothing. That's actually quite a lot. Tonight, I'm writing in the journal I started after I moved into the boarding house. Not emails I'll never send, but honest thoughts about what comes next. Today marks 8 months since I discovered Ploy was gone, I write. 8 months since I lost the house, the money, the future I thought I was building. In those 8 months, I've learned to live on 800 baht a day. I've learned that pad krapao gai is chicken stir-fry with holy basil, and that if you smile when you order it, the vendors give you extra rice. I've learned that teaching is the same everywhere. It's about showing up consistently and caring whether people learn something. Most importantly, I've learned that I don't need anyone else to validate my worth. Not a wife who might die, not a girlfriend who might disappear, not children who worry about me from half a world away. My worth comes from what I do with each day I'm given, how I treat the people I encounter, whether I choose to be bitter or curious about this strange, difficult, beautiful world. Ploy took my money, but she didn't take my capacity to be useful. She took my house, but she didn't take my ability to make a home. She took my story about late-in-life love, but she didn't take my story about late-in-life resilience. That story is still being written, and for the first time in months, I'm curious about how it ends. I close the journal and look out my window at Bangkok's endless sprawl of lights. Somewhere in this city, Ploy is probably spinning the same web for another lonely man with savings and hope. Part of me feels sorry for him. Part of me hopes he's less naive than I was. But mostly, I don't think about her anymore. I think about tomorrow's lesson plan, about the student who's struggling with verb tenses, about the small motorcycle repair shop where I might pick up weekend work. I think about real things, immediate things, things that don't require me to perform emotions I don't feel or pretend to be younger or richer or different than I am. At 68, I'm finally learning to be exactly who I am. Flawed, foolish sometimes, but stubborn enough to keep going. Broken in some ways, but not beyond repair. Bangkok didn't break me. It just taught me how much I could lose and still be okay. That's a lesson worth $95,000 maybe. Expensive, but not overpriced. Not when you consider what I got in return. The knowledge that I can survive anything, even my own mistakes, even my own heart.